After seeing Spotlight, I became a major fan of Tom McCarthy, and ever since then, I've been dying to see what his next film will be. Well, now we have Stillwater, which absolutely was a fascinating journey. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today I'm going to be discussing Stillwater, starring the likes of Matt Damon, Abigail Breslin. A father travels from Oklahoma to France to help his estranged daughter who is in prison for a murder she claims she didn't commit. Now, this is a unique movie and very much just a fascinating journey, like I said in my intro. I didn't know much about this movie. I knew who was starring in it, I knew who was directing this, and I never saw a trailer for this. All I knew is that Matt Damon was going to France to save his daughter, and I thought to myself, well, maybe this will be a more dramatic turn on Taken. In fact, it's nothing like that. And for me, this became one of the most fascinating journeys for me for 2020 when it comes to filmmaking, because this is a movie that takes many twists and turns, some very predictable, some not at all. And overall, some choices made in here for the dramatic takes were some of the best things that I've absolutely seen, and some things that worked, but I wish it didn't go that way. I can still definitely say that if you are interested in this movie, you should definitely go search it out, because I really like this movie. And of course, if you guys also like talking movies, well, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies over here on a daily basis. I love movies, and this is seriously like one of my favorite things to do is come home, review movies, and see what your guys' thoughts are down below. So make sure to also comment down below and let me know your guys' thoughts. So let's start with the good, and one of the biggest pros I must give this is Matt Damon's performance is stellar. I think we always forget how excellent of an actor Matt Damon is. Anytime he comes to play, he knocks it out of the park. I think it's because we don't see him in too many films nowadays, but really much, I think we really need to put in the contention that Matt Damon is one of the better actors out there. We really should talk about him more. So back in the day we used to, but lately he hasn't done too many films in my opinion, but really much he is great in here. In fact, I might put this as one of his best performances, probably top 10. Don't even get me started about Camilla Cotton, who is wonderful in here. Her charm, her elegance really much brings this serenading feeling to the entire movie, and her chemistry with Matt Damon here is amazing. There's a lot of development that kind of goes between their two characters that I really loved, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the story overall. When it comes to child actors, sometimes they are very hit and sometimes they are very much a miss. Well, one of the major ones in here, Liliao Savando, which I probably pronounced it wrong, I'm so sorry. She plays Maya in here and she sold my heart. She was brilliant in here. There's actually one scene in particular between her and Matt Damon that nearly brought me to tears, and I sat there just getting so swelled up with emotions because of how invested I was within this story. Again, talking about being invested and being within a story, no matter what choices they made throughout this movie, I still felt invested with it all because I wanted to see where this story would end up turning by the end because of Matt Damon's character. The thing for this movie is that it is focused in a sense, but nothing that I would very much have taken to that surprise. Going to this movie, I thought we were going to get more of a crime thriller. In a sense, it's actually more of a drama. And the dramatic turns that they actually take in here, I found to be some of the most fascinating. Some people will think it meanders a little bit too much. Definitely in the beginning, I felt that. And I think there was at least 15 to 20 minutes that you could have completely cut out of this movie or even rewrote the script to make it work a little bit stronger. And even with that said, there were some elements in the beginning of the story where I feel like the first act is a little bit cluttered of trying to figure out, okay, where is this story heading? What is it establishing? And it doesn't really hit its stride until maybe the back half of the first act. And then by then you're finally in. Once the second act starts, it completely changes the movie once again to show what the focus of this film should be, and the second act was absolutely my favorite part of the entire film. And then it switches over to the third act again and completely changes the focus of the story again. And I think for me, that third act twist of focus will very much divide some people. Some people will really dig it, some people won't. For me, I liked it, but I definitely wish they would have gone more of the route of the second act, because really much when you look at this entire movie, yes, it is about getting his daughter out of France and saving her from prison, but overall the story has themes of acceptance, hopefulness, and just finding a new reason and a new beginning, a new chapter for yourself, where we start to learn a little bit more development about Matt Damon and seeing where his character is now going inside this movie. It provides a lot of great character development. For me, I just found myself so invested with his character and in general the relationship that he starts to ensue with this family who is also assisting him and again on his path. Even then, the stuff that Abigail Breslin's character goes through, while not seen enough of, this is very much from Matt Damon's perspective, the stuff that we do get in here, especially again in that second act, was so strong. I just loved it. I think that's where Tom McCarthy's direction really pulls a stride here, is again his focus. I will give the guy credit where credit is due. The way that he was able to switch tones and genres between Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3 was honestly quite impressive, and I didn't expect that from here, because again, when we go and look at Spotlight, which if you haven't seen Spotlight yet, it won damn Best Picture and it was amazing. But he kind of does the same thing, and his directing style is so unique that I think Stillwater works because of that. Even if I do feel a little bit mixed on where they did end up taking the story, and I just felt like I wanted to stay in the second part, I feel like it would have been smarter to just take that approach a bit more. Again, it's hard to talk about without spoilers, but when you see the movie, I feel like you'll feel one or the other way. Let's talk a little bit more about the mixed and the bad aspects of the movie, because I do feel like the movie does run, again, a little bit too long. It could have been at least 20 to 15 minutes shorter, in my opinion, and I think it would have been a more fleshed out story. Before I go about it, the focus is a key word in here. While I found this to be a fascinating journey because of some of the twists and turns in the way that they take the tones and in general just the thematics that I did not expect to get from this movie, the thing with that is it remains focused, but that first act was a little choppy and it felt meandering to kind of figure out what is going on. And again, I was a little bit confused in there. Even then, I do feel like there was more depth to kind of dive into the character, and I wish they would have started in a different direction, kind of get a hint of what is actually going on. It feels like they're trying to keep it a little bit of a secret to why the daughter is in prison and why and what happened there. And I understand why they did by the end of the film, but I just sat there going, I feel like you should have revealed a couple more things here and there. Again, that's where it kind of just goes to that predictable nature of where I do feel like the story could have gone one way and it never went that way, but I feel like that's where the story was kind of trying to set it up, but it just ended up going in reversing in a back path that I didn't hate, but I expected more out of. Nonetheless, Stillwater is a beautifully shot movie. It's one that honestly, again, was a fascinating journey with a brilliant performance from Matt Damon, a great performance from Abigail Breslin, but really much the other two in here being the likes of Camila Cotton and of course Lilio, who plays Maya. Both of them were fantastic in here. There are some very emotional moments in here and even some very stressful and tense-filled moments. You remember that gut feeling you got watching Uncut Gems when you're sitting there stressed out of your mind? Well, you're going to get the same things in Stillwater. And I really overall dug that. Plus, the score in here is also pretty elegant and adds a lot to the entire tone. Again, the themes and messages in here for me were the strongest, most prevalent part about this. And Matt Damon's journey of acceptance, forgiveness, and just a change for himself, this new chapter, was my favorite aspect of the entire movie. And I think that is the reason to see this fascinating journey, which is Stillwater. Again, not a perfect movie, but it's one where its pros very much outweighed the cons. And I think overall, even if you don't love the themes and messages, and you find it a little bit meandering, you're still going to get some entertainment out of this. So I can definitely recommend Stillwater, and that is why I'm going to give this film a B. Thank you once again, guys, for clicking on this. You guys are seriously all the best. I cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts on this movie. So make sure to comment down below. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early. And of course, there's a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I would not be able to do this. Of course, guys, you guys are seriously all the best. And of course, until next time, stay classy.